All right. Our next storyteller of the evening. Travel can sometimes change you and expand your horizons. When Gustavo heads out on a 6-week vacation with his girlfriend, he never realized how much that would change. Please welcome Gustavo Ambrozio with his story, Leaps of Faith, Fun, Envy, and Flipping Questions.
1 year and 5 days ago, I had my first date with my girlfriend, Sony. That first date went really well, was really memorable for both of us. We kind of did the same thing 5 days ago in our first year date anniversary. And at the end of our date, I felt really optimistic that something might come out of it, but little did we know that less than a year after that, we were going to own property together. So Sonia and I had a bunch of dates, and we were like averaging 2-3 dates a week, and I was taking her to places and events she's never been before, and she was taking me to places and events that I've never been before. So not only were we like learning a lot about each other, we were learning a lot in general. And one of these days that she took me to was actually the Moth Grand Slam in the Castro Theater. That was my first storytelling event, and as such, it's direct responsible for me being here right now. So, thank you. Thank her. So, we arrived pretty early to get good seats, and we get our good seats, and after looking at that beautiful architecture and the beautiful art all around the Castro Theater, we had some time to kill, and one of us mentioned that we saw this great deal for flights to Maui. And even though we were like a few months into our relationship, we didn't have to think too much, and we decided, yes, let's do it. We picked up our phones, we looked at our calendars, and we picked some dates, and we bought flights right there, like sitting at the Castro Theater, waiting for the Moth to start. And so began our story of traveling. I was like doing some math before I came here, and during this whole year, we spent around 20 or 25% of our time just traveling and testing my company's unlimited vacation policy. I pushed that thing to the limit. So we had that trip to Maui. We did a road trip up the coast of California, all the way up to Oregon. And we saw a great deal going to New Zealand, so we bought a flight to New Zealand. And we spent 8 days just traveling in a van and sleeping in the van and having to work together inside of this crappy little van. Like if you know about the Wicked Camper, that's what we had. The Wicked Campers sometimes have like offensive graffiti outside, so ours didn't, we were lucky. And after that, we got another great deal to go to Southeast Asia, and Sony's from Indonesia. She wanted to go visit her parents and see her parents that she hadn't seen for 2 years, and I kind of wanted to meet her parents too. So we got this month-long trip to Southeast Asia too. So during this trip, like we started to meet a lot of what I call permanent travelers. So people that just travel around all the time. And whenever, like I've seen these people before, that was not my first time, of course, like you've probably seen those people before. But in Southeast Asia, you meet a lot of those because it's such a cheap place to travel, so it's easy to do this permanent traveling thing. And whenever I see these people, I feel this envy inside. There's like, how can these people do this? God damn it, why, I wish I could do this, but I have to work. I have this thing, that's been crammed into my mind since I was a little kid, that you have to work. That's where you get your worth and all that. So that always happens to me when I travel. I get that feeling, and as many of us do, we get this envious feelings, and we can't do these things, and we shrug it off, we put that aside, and we go on with our lives. So we continue with our travels. At the end of our travels, we meet her parents. Everything was great. And at the end of the trip, I was going to come back to the US because I have to work. And Sonia was going to spend 2 more weeks with her parents traveling around Southeast Asia. So I come back to work, and even though I've always loved what I do, I really enjoy it. I love the company I work for. I love the people I work for. But I was in the office after a few days, and I just start feeling very uneasy. I start feeling this restlessness that I shouldn't be there. I don't want to be here anymore. I felt that I should be out there, and I wanted to be one of these people that is just permanently traveling. And I started going back to some of these people we met, and there was at least one guy named Patrick. And Patrick was Canadian. He used to work on an IT industry in Canada, and he just decided one day to quit his job and move to Southeast Asia. And he told us about this movement, about the digital nomads movement, that basically if you have a profession that allows you to work online, you can work online, make your money online, and keep on traveling all the time. So I was thinking about Patrick, and then that envious feeling was still there. And what happened was that instead of asking like, how can these people do this? I kind of like flipped the question. And I asked, why can't I do it? And then I started thinking about that, and I started like, I couldn't find any reason. I couldn't find any reason why I couldn't do it. I also have a job that allows me to work online. I also have some money saved, so I don't need to like work all the time. I have something, and I couldn't think of a reason. So then I was like, yeah, I think I can do this. So I started chatting with Sony online, and I was like, you know, I'm struggling here. It's really weird. I've never felt this way at work before. What do you think? Like doing this, like going to travel? And it turns out she's into it. Like she's something that she's always wanted to do. So we started like talking more about this online, and then she came back and we continued talking about this even more and more seriously, and we started thinking about what are we going to do? Are we going to do the Southeast Asia thing? Are we going to do something different? And then we kind of went back to those 8 days in New Zealand and traveling in a van, and it was a really liberating feeling being in the van, like having your home with you all the time and being able to go without thinking about like where you're going to sleep or if you have hotel reservations and how much it's going to cost. It was such a good feeling for us that we decided like we should get a van and just travel through the US and, you know, work online on whatever comes. So after that, we made that decision. Like we started like scouting Craigslist like all the time. My productivity at work fell to like historic lows. And we started booking all these like visits. Like we spent 2 weekends on another road trip, going all the way up Northern California, looking for vans and RVs, and we found something we liked. And at the very last one that we were in Nevada City, we found the perfect van. We both like looked at that and fell in love with it. It was the perfect size. It was within our budget. Even the owner was perfect. It was like this photographer guy that grew up in the 60s and had all these stories. Like he photographed Bob Dylan at the back of a bookstore. It was great stories. We sat with this guy for hours just talking about his life. And next day we made him an offer. He accepted right away, even though I had rehearsed all these, you know, negotiating things. He just said, oh, okay, I'll get it. So a few days later, we're at the DMV, and we have property together now. So we haven't started these travels yet. Like we just got this van a few weeks ago, but we're super excited to start. We're probably going to start within a month. I won't be able to be here for the next day, I'm sorry. And looking back in this last year and all these changes, like I've never expected this to happen. I think like there's a lot of things that play in here, like being lucky enough to have this job that allows me this, being lucky enough to meet this amazing person that wants to do what I want to do. But I think the most important thing was flipping that question, was turning that negative emotion into some positive action. And I wish I could continue to do this. Thank you.